Hi, this is Tim with rcnoob.com. Today we're going to take a closer look at the new Everest Gen 7 Sport from Redcat Racing. Redcat Racing got into the scale RC scene this year, along with a couple of other brands like Traxxas and HPI. And this model is one that I've had a lot of interest in and I've kept a close eye on for a number of reasons. Now, you know, Traxxas made a big splash with their TRX4, and HPI has made a lot of noise with their Venture. But the Redcat model, the Everest Gen 7, um, was interesting, at least from my perspective, in that it was a lower cost option. And I think this really has an opportunity to get people into not only the hobby, but get people interested and into the scale RC scene and get them outdoors and get them crawling and give them a taste of what it's like to have one of these trail rigs. So mentioning the price on the Everest Gen 7 lineup ranges from $199 for the sport model, which is what we have right here, and then there's also a higher priced pro model. Now that pro model is going to give you a couple more accessories like a roof rack, some fender flares. The body actually flips up, so it's got a few extra features for the extra money that you're spending, and that extra money is roughly $80. So you're looking at $279, $280 for the Pro, whereas the Everest Gen 7 Sport rings in around $199. Um, I chose this model. I had an internal debate which one I wanted to go with, and I chose this because I wanted to see what I could get for $200. For me personally, my sweet spot pricing is between $150 and $200. If I can get any kind of RC model at any scale for around that price, within that price, then I'm a happy camper. If that means I need to upgrade a few things, then that's fine. But at least I feel like I have room, wiggle room to play um, and and move around in with that price range. So with this machine coming in at $199, I feel that I feel like that's a perfect price point for a vehicle like this. Now, if you are not familiar with Scale RC or the Scale RC scene, you might not know what other vehicles are out there uh, in that category. And really, to give you a brief history, not really a history, but just a brief rundown of what other machines are out there. Axial and the SCX-10 are kind of the gold standard. They've been around the longest, and they've kind of set the pace. There's also models from RC4WD, the Trailfinder, um, is another very, 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 very popular model from that brand. And then I mentioned, Traxxas getting in with their TRX4. HPI now has the Venture, Charisma Scale Adventure launched earlier this year. They've got their Coyote, uh, both in RTR and kit model. And then you've got, the Everest Gen 7 Sport and Everest Gen 7 Pro from Redcat Racing, and there are a number of other options that I'm leaving out as well. You can find a nice little write-up. I've done a bit of research on what options are out there in the scale RC scene. You can find out more information on that at rcnoob.com. But that's enough about scale RC. Let's talk about this model specifically. Before we take the lid off, let's just take a look at the box and see what we're going to be dealing with. Um, and again, this is ready to run, 1/10 scale, electric. All the electronics are waterproof or water resistant. 2.4 gigahertz radio system, brushed motor, 4x4, shaft drive, basic stuff for what you would see in any other scale RC crawler or trail rig. Taking a look at different sides of the box gives you a nice rundown of what you can expect to see once you take the lid off the box and once you then take the body off of the chassis. It does have a steel frame, ladder frame chassis. Again, that's very basic as well. You're going to see that on a lot of models in this genre uh, for trail rigs, things like that. Again, brushed motor, very common. Um, has a Hobby Wing Hexfly ESC, which is interesting and neat to see. Uh, Neat to see Redcat Racing kind of going beyond uh, their own bits and pieces and parts to bring in some other brands and bring in some other names. And actually, the chassis is by BPC chassis. So that's not even Redcat Racing chassis. It's something that they've sourced out. The tires, 1.9 inch, licensed Interco Super Swampers. Those should be nice. This would be my first experience with those types of tires. Looking at the chassis from the box photo, there's really not a lot there. There's a lot of open space. So in my mind, that might mean, you could rearrange electronics and reposition electronics in a few different places. You may have to get creative with how you mount it, but still, there's a few areas that you can maneuver and reposition things. You got a front bumper, rear bumper. It does look like there's going to be a hole for a trailer hitch if you wanted to go super scale. And the Pro model does include, a hitch, and like I said, it's got fender flares and inside fender wells, and the body is hinged, and you get a lot for your $80 that you're spending extra. But I wanted to see again what you get for $199 or $200. So let's take a quick swing around other side of the box. I did pick the orange body option. I'm partial to that color. You get a 2-channel, 2.4 gigahertz transmitter. We'll find out what the receiver is, if that's a 2-channel or 4-channel. And then it kind of gives you a nice rundown of what you can expect from some of the other components. One nice thing that I noticed right off the bat is the fact that you get aluminum steering linkage and aluminum suspension linkage, for a ready-to-run vehicle right out of the box. If you get an STX10 deadbolt, or really any STX10 ready-to-run model, I believe you're dealing with plastic components. At least it was that way with the Classic. I haven't experienced the STX10 2 yet, so I can't speak to that. But the fact that you're getting aluminum components is nice. It's a nice little upgrade, and a nice little added bonus, especially for what you're paying for this machine. Adjustable shocks looks like are also included. And then there's also a neat little decal sheet so you can customize your machine and make it look a little different from all the rest. So I think we've talked about this model enough. Let me just swing around the other side of the box. You already saw that. And then there are two body option colors, orange and silver. Again, I went orange. I've got enough silver rigs laying around. I want something a little different. So let's take the cover off and see what we have to deal with. All right, top is off the box, and we have packaging. So let's take the packaging away. First thing we're going to grab is our transmitter, and it looks like the battery charger is included in there as well. So we're going to take that out. Feels nice. Has a neat design to it. The wheel feels real good. Again, we'll get a real feel for how it handles and performs once we get it powered up and running. And we have adjustments for steering trim, throttle trim, and then dual rate for steering. And then you can have the throttle and the steering reverse or normal. And there's a bind button. So pretty much everything that you would expect to find on a 2-channel transmitter, you'll find on this. And that's the Redcat Racing 2CE model. So we're going to set that aside. Here's our nickel metal wall charger. Ooh, I like that color. All right, before we take the truck out, let's get the other not so interesting things out of the way. Looks like a order sheet, mini catalog for some Hexfly items. And here's your instruction manual. And looks like we have shock adjustment rings, LED mounting bits. I'm not quite sure what these plastic pieces are. If I took the time to read the manual, which I will later, I'm sure that will become clear. And then you see the two models, the Pro and the Sport. As I was saying before, the Pro does come with a few extra options. You can kind of get an idea of what those options are here compared to the Sport. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. And now we're on to the good stuff, the truck. Okay, here it is, the Redcat Racing Everest GEN7 Sport. It does have a layer of protective film on it. We'll peel that off. and we'll take a body pin off in the process. The body's not licensed after any specific model, so it's a generic body, but it still looks cool. Take all the body pins off. Looks nice. Actually, it feels a little, I don't want to say flimsy, but it's got more flex in it than I would have expected. I still think it's going to be durable enough and hold up if you roll it or bang it up against rocks or trees or trail debris. So getting that out of the way, and here's the chassis. Here's your included nickel metal battery, 2000 milliamp, 7.2 volt. Electronics tag, which we will get out of the way. Here's your ESC, that Hexfly ESC, crawler specific. You see the motor, see the gearing, there's the shaft. Feels nice and solid. Taking a closer look at the tires, again, these are licensed Interco Super Swampers. They feel really nice. They have nice, deep channels on the lugs. There's a decent amount of flex. The foams feel fairly substantial. You know, so that it's going to form well around rocks and other obstacles, things like that. The beadlock wheels, they look nice. Again, basic design, nothing too fancy, but I wouldn't expect much for, again, the price of the vehicle. The servo looks substantial, looks to be mounted nice and sturdy. Shocks, aluminum caps on them. Again, they are adjustable. There were some adjustment rings. It does not have a screw adjustment, but it does have some different rings that you can slide in to adjust your shock tension. If you want to adjust your suspension mounting, you can do that. There are quite a few different adjustment points. You can change around the mounting position for the body posts. So it looks like you've got a lot of flexibility that's been built into this model, even though it looks like there's not a lot here, and it's a fairly Spartan chassis setup. That said, it does feel durable. It's got a decent amount of heft to it. I will be comparing this to my Axial SCX-10 Classic. Now, disclaimer, I have made some modifications to that. I've got different wheels on it, heavier wheels. I've got aluminum links, whereas it came with plastic links, so it's not going to be a true out-of-the-box comparison. But I do know somebody with a deadbolt that is fairly stock that I may be able to compare this to get a true stock-to-stock comparison. But just picking this up, very, very solid frame. It doesn't feel like a lot of, flex, really any flex, which is nice. It just seems like a really well-constructed, well set up machine. Now, I did get a tip from a fellow RC enthusiast, Shen Loco RC. He said to double check all the screws, make sure they're all tight. So I'm going to do that before we fire this up and hit the trail. I think my initial runs will be indoors just because of weather situations. However, I will be getting this outside as soon as I can, and we'll be putting it up against, like I said, the SCX-10. We also have a Redcat Racing RS-10 that we've converted into a scale rig. I'll put it up against that. And we've got an HGP402, which is a inexpensive crawler, if you want to call it a knockoff crawler, that we will be comparing it to as well. So kind of see how this machine at $200 fits in among some others. So the next steps are going to be getting it charged up, getting it out, and just getting it running and seeing how it handles. And if it handles like I feel it will handle, I think we're going to be in for a nice surprise and a nice treat. So stay tuned to the RC Noob YouTube channel and rcnoob.com for more information on this specific model. We'll be doing, again, head-to-head comparisons, reviews, and a few other things with this and some other scale RC machines as well. If you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you've not yet subscribed to the channel, I encourage you to do that. For more information on not only this model, but other RC machines, from buggies to trucks, monster trucks, scale rigs, quadcopters, you name it, head to rcnoob.com. And with that, my name is Tim. We will talk to you guys later.